Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people to discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. We are on the eve of the holiest day of the year for Jews, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It is the day in which Jews around the world, religious and non-religious, pause and reflect on the fact that the year is over and a new year is about to begin. And the question is, what will the future hold? According to Jewish tradition, on this day, the seal is set for what will happen in the year ahead. Who shall live and who shall die? Now, you may or may not believe that, but what you can believe is that this is a day when Jews around the world are pausing to reflect. It has been a very tough year for Jews, not only in the United States, but around the world, and particularly in Israel. There is a fundamental question that is being posed in synagogues across the land on the eve of this solemn day, and most certainly will from sundown tonight to sundown tomorrow. It really enveloped the Jews. Where is the world? Why is there silence? On a day when we reflect on our own future and the morality, the way we live, what we do, how we do it, there is a question about the silence of the world, the deafening silence of the world in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks in southern Israel. It's been a little more than a year now, and we know that the world has been in turmoil. But where are those who believe in morality? There's a theory out there about something called relativism. If you'd have one, you must have the other. It isn't necessarily true. And certainly in this case, it absolutely is not true. The murder of 1,200 Israelis, the kidnapping of the number which now appears to have settled based on the number of deaths and releases and all the rest, about 101 hostages still being held, and the deafening silence in the world. It's very disturbing. And it's not just what happened on that fateful day 1 year ago. Look at what has happened in the northern border of Israel. Think about it. 80,000 Israelis for a year now have had to vacate their homes. Rockets have continued to fly. And the world, a deafening silence. Nothing about the tragedy that is befalling those people because Hezbollah, the army of God, decided not that they wanted a two-state solution, not that they wanted some sort of peace. No. What they wanted was the destruction of Israel. You see, the enemies of Israel are not interested in a compromise. If you listen carefully to what is said by Hamas, by Islamic Jihad, by Hezbollah, by the Houthis, by Iran, if you listen carefully, there is no room for negotiation, no room for any kind of compromise. Their position is clear. It is precise. Israel as a nation has no right to exist. And tragically, along with that, the same is said of Jews who have no right to exist. This is the ultimate human tragedy. And so, on this Yom Kippur, on this Day of Atonement, as Jews reflect on their own shortcomings, their own errors, there is also a question about what about the world? Where is the world? One of the things we learned after the Second World War, after the Shoah, the Holocaust, is that there was a conscience in the world. They realized they had done nothing then, and look what the result was. Where is that conscience now? Where are good people, and there are some, who stand up and condemn the violence against Israel and against Jews. Why am I reflecting on this today? I'm reflecting on this today because the wars, plural, the tensions in the Middle East are growing. 181 missiles from Iran hit Israel. 181. It's a certain irony in my mind because if you go back and remember, Resolution 181, passed on November 29, 1947, established the precedent for a two-state solution. 181. And if you take a look at what happened in Haifa, and this is what I understood, not in the abstract, but in the real sense. One of my friends from high school lives in Haifa. And the missile defense system, well, it wasn't working as it should have. And a rocket landed in her carport. Thank heaven she's okay. She is alive. But still, the idea that an innocent person living in Haifa, the sister city of San Francisco, could have a rocket land on her carport, that scares me. So, as we enter the most solemn day of the year for Jews, perhaps it is time not just for Jews to reflect, perhaps it's time for the world to reflect. Our failure, our lack of concern, our unwillingness to confront evil. And let me be clear, what Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and Iran and the radical Islamists are doing is evil. Someone asked me, well, can't you realize they have a cause that they want to defend? Really? If their cause is the destruction of Israel and the destruction of Jews, well, that's not a cause I believe in. It's not a cause you believe in. So, as we enter the holiest day of the year for Jews, I ask all of you to reflect for a moment on the condition of the world, on the condition in the Middle East. And I ask you to say a prayer, not just for peace, but for security, that the people of Israel and Jews around the world will be safe and secure in the year ahead. As the book of life and death is sealed, I want us to reflect on the fact that the world needs to take a hard look at itself. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. And, of course, you can interact with me on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And my deep appreciation to the wonderful producer of this program, Gogo Zoger. Thanks, Gogo. And for those of you fasting on this Yom Kippur, have an easy fast, and may it be a time of true reflection. See you on Monday.
Around the Political World with John Rothman is proud to introduce our first sponsor. That's right. We have someone who loves what we do, and I have to tell you, I love what she does. Be Bold America is produced by KSQD, and of course, the person who leads us through these great discussions is none other than Jill Cody. She's an author, a radio personality, and she does one heck of a job of putting into focus major issues, from protecting democracy to our climate. Let me tell you, the topics on the podcast are serious. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's to say the show is for all of us. Be bold in America. In an election year, what can we do to increase discussion, debate, and the rest? I'll tell you what we can do. Listen to Jill Cody as she exposes all of us to the issues. You can tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you like to get your shows. So this is John Rothman, delighted, pleased, thrilled to endorse Jill Cody's wonderful program, Be Bold, America.